Hey, how's it going? How's it going? Whoa, that's loud. How's it going, guys? What we talking about? Is Satan in the music industry? Is the music industry satanic? The question is, the music industry is satanic. That's the question. That's the argument that this lady presents. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. But, you know, there's been many musicians, famous musicians like John Lennon, that have mentioned that they have made a deal with the devil. They sold their soul to the devil. Now, I don't think they literally sold their soul to the devil. I think that they're saying is when you make a deal with the record companies, that you are essentially making a deal with the devil, that it's very close to it, because they will get what they want and more. Like, you will work for them. The industry is, the industry is, I would say, it's not kind. It's not a nice place. Okay? Like, the record companies, like, they will give you that advance. They'll treat you nice at first. But if you fail to deliver, and a lot of bands do, they're gonna make some changes. Even if you do deliver, there's still a good chance they can make some changes. They can come to you about something. Because they own you. They own you. You sign your life. You sign your career to them. They own you. So, yeah, in that regard, the music industry is satanic. But, like, metaphorically speaking, okay? I don't know. Let me take this off the screen so you can see. Look, that poster there says Satan is your friend. Satan's my friend. He's my pal. I can call him up right now. He'll be like, nah, I don't run that. You guys run that stuff. But he's enjoying the show. He's liking how evil and sinister it is. So with that said, let's go and check this out here. The channel it's from is Heaven and Healing, and it's the music industry is satanic. Okay. Let's put it on the screen. We'll use a small window. All right, let's get into it. It plays music in the beginning. She's playing music. But I guess music isn't bad? Oh, we'll get into this. We'll skip that.
First, welcome back to another in a while. So,
okay.
What's up, everybody?
What's up? By the way, subscribe to her channel if you like what she's talking about. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. You know, support her. I already am skeptical about her argument, and I think I have an idea where it's going to go. You know, so there's that. Now, I will say beforehand, before we get into this, I might say some things, like everything I'm going to say that sounds critical. I hope nothing I say is taken as trying to be a jerk or an asshole or anything like that, okay? All right? I need to see evidence on things in order for me to believe it. So let's play this.
This episode today is a super, super extensive one. So you might want to listen to this once or twice. You might want to take a break halfway through. You might want to take some notes. It's all about the music industry. Now, the reason that I wanted to do an episode on the music industry is because I've really been aware of a lot of this stuff for the past 2 years when I started to wake up to some really harsh truths in 2020. Now, I've mentioned before that I've come to Christ in December 2021, but 2020 was the year where my scales started to peel away from my eyes, and I started to really see things for what they were, and the industry...
Scales? Should be literal or metaphorical? Is she a lizard person? Okay.
In Hollywood, those were two things, of course, one and of the same, but I had to condense, so we'll do a Hollywood episode another time. But those were two things that really started to wake me up to the cruelty and the pure evil of this world and just how very tangible that all is, right? You know, I've always believed in God. Of course, it was this new age idea of God, so it was an idol that I had created in my mind, but I saw how obsessed with Satan the music industry is, with how obsessed with Satan the Hollywood is, right?
Well, let me just pause right there. Obsessed with Satan? You mean like the imagery and stuff? Because it's kind of cool. It's cool. Like metal and rock, being obsessed with satanic imagery. And what was that? That little Nas X guy, whatever, the rappers and the Satan imagery. He's just trying to be super edgy as freaking possible. And he's probably pushed to do that. Probably. But, yeah, coming from the metal world, coming from the rock metal world, yeah, satanic imagery is throughout metal and throughout rock and roll. But it's like, I don't know. It's done because it's kind of cool, man. I mean, I don't worship Satan or anything, but, you know, whatever. I mean, rocking out to some Black Sabbath or to some, Metallica or some Iron Maiden, that's not going to be a bad thing. So, whatever.
Entertainment industry. And that was really disturbing for me. And it sent me down.
What's funny, too, is a lot of those guys, a lot of those metal guys, a lot of them are Christian as well. They do that. They present that stuff because of the imagery just looks cool and it goes with the theme associated with rock and roll, associated with metal. Okay. Now there's other performers that do that as well, like I guess rap and stuff. But like, I mean the rap world. I mean the gangster world. I mean, if I was engulfed in that, I probably would think the devil is in there too. Okay. All right. But anyway, so the imagery is interesting. It obviously draws attention. It's used as a gimmick. I think more so than any true intentions. But anyway,
rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole, which ultimately, lo and behold, 2 years later led me here. Right. So I've been knowledgeable about a lot of this stuff for quite some time. Of course, with the episode, I did do a lot more research on it. And once I was saved, once I, was really saved and born again, music just started to sound...
Does she have handwritten notes on you guys can't really see it. It looks like a book of just blank white papers with like no lines and so everything's scribbled on there. Interesting.
Different to me. And I've been a huge fan of music my entire life. So a big part of this is crushing that own idol for myself. And I'm sure a lot of you listening can relate that.
This whole channel is about music. Okay. So we can relate, right?
Music was everything to me. I grew...
Music is great. Music helps me throughout the day, man. Music helps a lot of people throughout the day. I don't see anything wrong with music being like your thing.
Grew up very isolated and bullied and by myself. And so
Okay.
at a young age, I turned to music. When I was
Well, a lot of people turn to music, and not for being bullied, but it happens. Okay, sure, fine. Okay.
about 12 or 13, I got really, really obsessed with pop punk, particularly the band All Time Low, who I still like. You know, I'm just going to
Got obsessed with a band. That happens at times. Yeah, it happens.
admit that. It's not that I don't still enjoy some secular music, but I'm a lot
Secular music. Okay, interesting. Interesting verbiage there.
more discerning when I listen to it these days. But
Why?
yeah, just to kind of recap on that,
Like, trick you into believing in the devil? Come on now. Like, how weak is your faith? Like, hold on. Let me just say this. Okay. Now, I'm going to say this, what I know about Christianity as being a Protestant, okay? It might be different for you. But for me, as being a Protestant, all Christ is asking for is that you believe in him and believe he's the Son of God, and that when he died, he was sacrificed, he was crucified for our sins, and you believe in him, and that's all he's asking for you to do. At the very least, that's all he's asking. So where is that going to? Oh, but don't listen to Slayer, or don't listen to some pop punk band, whatever name band you mentioned. Don't listen to them. Okay. I mean, this is silly stuff, man.
I fell in love with All Time Low when I was 12 or 13, and from there, it just sent me spiraling into an absolute obsession and idolization with music and with these bands. And
So you were a teenage girl and you had a crush on this band. You idolized them. Okay, that's fine. That happens. Okay.
I used to
You
say
could,
that all
you could still say Jesus is king and worship him and still have appreciation for that band.
Time Low saved my life. And at the time, that was very real for me, right? They have the song Therapy about how, give me therapy. I'm a walking travesty, but I'm smiling at everything. And just music that made me feel seen when I was so broken in my youth. And of course, I never needed this music. I never needed these boys, which is what they were, especially then. I needed these boys saving my life. I needed Jesus. I needed Jesus Christ, but
Why does she say it that way? I mean, okay. Well, that's her, what she's dealing with. But we're about to hopefully get into the meat of her argument here.
didn't know that. And so they were my salvation. All Time Low was my salvation.
Okay.
Pop punk was my salvation. I accredited music to the fact that I was breathing for a decade.
Okay. I will say, and I've been obsessed with bands before. Been a huge fan of bands before throughout my life. And you have too. I don't think I've ever associated a band for the reason why I'm breathing. But maybe you have? Can you identify like that? Do you have that? Can you connect with her in that way? I really can't. I'm listening to this. I'm like, well, maybe you're right with the word obsessed. And maybe this sounds like a you problem. But I'm here. I'm listening. I want to be kind. I want to be nice.
The obsession with All Time Low only deepened as I got older. All throughout high school, it was always All Time Low t-shirts. I had like 40 of them. My senior art project I dedicated to All Time Low. I
Could be worse.
tried to go to as many concerts as possible, begging my mom for meet and greets so that I could see them and hug them and cry to them and tell Alex Gaskarth, the lead singer, that he saved my life. And one has to wonder what happens in these musicians' minds when you have so many people saying that to you, right? But that's
they probably really enjoy it. They're probably that would be a powerful moment to have a lot of fans to tell you that. It might get to your head, see the impact that your music has on people. It kind of gives you, renews. If the members had any feelings of thinking of to like leave or to quit the industry or to self-delete due to stress and other factors outside, it may encourage them to not do that. Okay? Because I think she's going to get into some things. Well, I don't know. I don't know if she's really going to get into the nasty bits of the industry itself. It sounds like she's just talking from a biblical perspective, and I'll be surprised if she presents any real thing about the actual crazy evil things happening within the industry, like the death clause and the interesting deaths or suicides that are out there. Kind of make you wonder what happened there. Was that to collect a check? Was that... Look into the death clause thing. That thing is crazy. Okay.
It's an entirely different can of worms. But yeah, I really accredited music to saving my life, specifically All Time Low. As I got into my later teenage years and early 20s, I started to really obsess over Taylor Swift. So
she was a Swiftie. Taylor Swift fan. Okay. All right. Makes sense.
Still All Time Low first and foremost. I have to make that clear. But Taylor Swift was my female, she saved my life in that regard. Or so I said. I loved her so much. I was obsessed. And again, same thing, just got deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. I honestly blame her for how toxic my relational dynamics and not even...
Whoa. Okay, I'm going to say this to this lady talking right here. Okay. You blame Taylor Swift for how toxic your relationships were? I don't see the connection there. How does Taylor Swift's music make your relationships with your previous partners toxic? What's going on there? Were you breaking up with a lot of them and writing songs? Were you getting with them and breaking up with them for just the songs, just for something to write and maybe put on the radio? And then it didn't work out? Because I don't understand. I'm not understanding the connection there. I just don't see it. And I like how she says obsessed again. I'm wondering, I'm not a Swiftie, okay, but I'm wondering if she got obsessed with Jesus and that's her new obsession, okay, and thinking she has to be all about 100% Jesus and can't be about the other stuff, can't really look at him the same way. I don't know why she has that in her head, but that's what I'm getting from this. And also, a lack of taking responsibility. Man, I'm not a Swiftie. I don't really care what you say about Taylor Swift, but it didn't cause your relationships to be toxic. That's a little cuckoo.
Even dynamics, but my relational awareness was for basically my entire span of age 20 to 27. And that's the truth. Like, I really do blame her for that. And
is it 20 to 27 or 22 to 27?
Was for basically my entire span of age 20 to 27.
7 years. 7 years of toxic relationships because of Taylor Swift. Okay. Keep in mind, this video is about the music industry is satanic. And Taylor Swift, is she satanic? Does she even reference... How many Taylor Swift songs are out there that actually reference the devil in any sort of a worshiping way? I don't recall any, like, satanic imagery on Taylor Swift stuff. Okay. That's insane.
And that's the truth. Like, I really do blame her for that. And we'll kind of get into why that is later, but she messed me up. She messed me up.
Taylor Swift messed you up? Okay. I'm going to have to say it again. Cuckoo. Take responsibility for the decisions you made. How about that? And don't blame it on Taylor Swift. She's not a drug. She's not meth. She's not heroin. She's not fentanyl. Okay, she's not. Okay. She's not. I don't get how did Taylor Swift mess up her life.
And I thought it was the opposite. I thought she was helping me. I thought I was relating to her, right? I thought I saw so much of myself in her, and she made me feel seen, just like All Time Low did, just like all that music did, all that sad music, all that pop punk. If you're familiar with that genre, you know how very sad it is. It's all about like hating your town, hating your life, and
I don't get it.
Just getting through and hopeless
So she hates music now. She hates music. Okay.
romantic, all that kind of stuff. Nothing ever about God, and nothing necessarily about.
So is Christian music good? Is that okay? Or are they faking it?
The devil, but nothing about God, and it's all about self. It's all self, self-sabotage, self-spiraling, all of those things. So without going too deep into that, because
Taylor Swift is about self-sabotaging and self-spiraling? It's about breakups, bitterness. I don't know. I don't really listen to a lot of Taylor Swift. So when I listen to Taylor Swift, my wife is driving the car. So that's rare now. You guys got to fill me in on that one.
because I do want to get into the actual bread and butter of this episode.
Yeah, let's get into the bread and butter.
That's what really sparked my necessity for wanting to do this, is that, I personally have such a deep history, deep love relationship with music that for me to sit here and do this and say, secular music live.
Music is bad, MK.
To us, it's not actually good for us, and it doesn't save our lives. If my 15-year-old self heard this, her jaw would drop to the floor and she would be...
Meanwhile, while you say this, there are many people in various situations in their life, whether in the hospital or maybe they're at their house, maybe they're out somewhere in the community or whatever, dealing with some emotional issue, emotional moment, and they're probably listening to a song right now that's really connecting with them, pushing, empowering them to go through that moment and helping them cope, helping them find reason, all that stuff. So while it may not work for you anymore, maybe you don't like music in that way, maybe you find connecting with God is better, that's you, ma'am. That's you. Okay? Not everyone's all about that. And some people can be all about God and stuff and still appreciate music. So I don't understand. So far we got this, she just finds it better to, I guess, look for God in things is what I got so far. And that, don't go to secular music for looking for to move you in that way, because it's not going to work. Okay. Oh, maybe not for you.
Absolutely flabbergasted and probably a little disgusted with me. She would say, "You don't that version of me don't know what she's talking about," But my heart breaks for my teenage self and my young 20-year-old self who just so desperately wanted to feel better. I just wanted to heal. I just wanted to feel alive. Concerts made me feel that way. Losing myself in a show, I used to say that the purpose of life was to lose yourself in a concert. I wrote posts about that.
Yeah, and the experience really,
it would bring tears to my eyes every time I was in a show in that crowd, in that atmosphere, just surrounded by other people like me.
Emotional response.
The funny thing is, all those other people like me, they were all just as sad as I was. We were all using.
It sounds like you experienced a powerful moment. Yes, because you're there at the venue listening to the live music and it's connecting with you. You feel the music. That's okay.
Using music as an escape. We were using music as a vice to try and heal, to try and find salvation. And it would provide...
Find salvation? You're... I don't know what to say here. If that's your mindset going into listening to music, then I think the problem is with you, ma'am. Okay, all right.
provide that temporary relief, just like everything else that we
Salvation
talk
is
about
a
in this podcast. It would bring that,
tall order.
but ultimately it would leave me empty. So with this episode, we're going to get into the science of music,
All right, science of
what
music.
the Bible says about music, the
Okay,
history
that's
of
great.
music, and then dive into some examples of like classic music. And when I say classic, I mean like the 70s, not
Okay. All right.
considered classic to me, but not so classic that we're going back to Mozart, not there. And then modern music, Cardi B, obviously Taylor Swift. I have to crush that idol too. So,
She's satanic.
and then finally we'll close with a prayer and sort of like what this all means, like what can we do
We
about
probably
it,
won't stick around for the prayer.
sort of thing, and what God's plans are for it. So,
Okay. But how do we know what God's plans are for music? Got him on speed dial or something? I mean, pray to God every once in a while, but he doesn't tell me any plans about music.
I want to just start. I want to preface this by saying I'm not trying to scare anybody. Okay, there's a lot
right.
of dark information
Okay.
in this episode, and this is not to scare. This is just to make you aware. Okay, that's always my goal. So just
I am looking to be educated on this. I want to sit corrected.
first and foremost, this is not about making you afraid. This is about raising your awareness so that you
Okay.
have holy
Raise
discernment.
my awareness
And
to a high level.
maybe you're not a believer in Christ, but hopefully this can kind of peel back some of the layers for you and start to make you see that, if God isn't real, then why are these musicians so obsessed with the devil? Right? So
Because it's cool. Because the devil is cool. Okay? He has the good music. He's the party person. He presents himself like that. Maybe God has some elaborate parties in heaven. I don't know. But that's how he's presented. And kids like that. Anyway.
I don't want to scare you, just want to bring awareness. And then also, I'm not bashing any musicians. Like, if you're listening to this and you're like, this hurts because I love to play music, I play the guitar, I love to sing. This isn't about you. This is about the music industry elitists, okay? The people that have millions of dollars, more money than they know what to do with, okay? The ones that we see on TV and the ones that we go to stadium performances for. Those people, not you sitting in your room playing your guitar, writing a song, okay?
So what if people go to see their show at like a small venue and then not them, but it's just the top of the top? Okay. All right. Gotcha.
I really respect people that have that musical capability because I don't. And honestly, I used to wish I could sing, but in hindsight, I see
right.
that God's plan for me was not to be a singer, because if I were, I mean, he only knows where I would have ended up there, because I've always been a really good writer. So
I don't know. Where would you end
might
up?
have been another Taylor Swift, who knows, and been a part of all this. But anyway, so the science of music. Okay, so like I mentioned, this is a little dense, so bear with me, okay?
Okay.
Humans are bioelectric beings by definition, all right? We
Bioelectric beings by definition? Okay. All right. I'll follow on this one.
have electrical currents going back and forth, okay? Our mind sends signals to our limbs, which is why I can flail my arms
Right.
around like this.
You mean the brain, but yes. Brain and mind are the same thing.
Why I blink my eyes. It's what makes these words come out of my mouth. The receptors in your ears that send signals to your brain is how you receive these messages.
Right.
Okay, we
Right.
are bioelectric beings by definition. The body sends electrical messages. It's all vibrations and frequency. And now, look, New Age people might have a little wall come up when I say that, but the vibrations and frequency thing, because it is New Age terminology. But it's also
Yeah, don't start talking about chakras. You talk about chakras, I already know you're full of crap. Okay, I've not seen a chakra in my life. I've seen plenty of yoga videos talk about chakras and stuff. I'm like, you believe what you want to believe. But the moment you start talking about chakras and that sort of stuff, I'm like, this is not based on any science.
like literal. It's the literal scientific makeup of human beings. So set aside your PTSD from the New Age for this episode, okay? Now, music disrupts those currents. It disrupts those currents.
Okay, music disrupts the currents, the electricity, the waves within your body. Can you cite me one study, please, about that. Music disrupts those currents. Just show me something. Please back that up.
Currents, those frequencies and those vibrations that are a part of our bioelectric makeup. And by doing so, it inevitably disrupts the spirit itself, because
the spirit. What? Okay. What are we talking about?
It changes your brain and nervous system. It has the ability.
What the hell? What the hell? This is a get in the weeds already. Yeah, when you listen to music, obviously your brain processes it. Obviously, there are different waves going on that are normal, that are naturally be occurring in your brain as it is a response to the music that you're listening to. It's not going to like change you. It's not going to change your DNA or your central nervous system. It's not going to change that. No. Though there is an interesting study that I found getting ready for this, that apparently music can have it seems to have an impact, maybe. I'm not sure about significant. I got to look more into it. But gene expression, that's kind of interesting. But, okay. But let's play more.
Ability to change your brain and your nervous system, which inevitably changes your character, your spirit. And I'll dive into a little bit of that as we go along. So, again, bear with me. Basically, we go from, when we listen to music, we go from God-ordained frequency.
We go from God-ordained frequency
to the current and to the frequency of the world.
To the frequency of the world. Okay. I need to know what those frequencies are. What in the world is the world frequency? And then what is the God-ordained frequency? Can I Google this? What is God-ordained frequency? Because this is where you go. This is crazy. Frequency of the Lord's Supper? No, that's how often they had that Lord's Supper. I'm talking about the frequency of the ordained frequency. That doesn't make any sense. You can't Google that. You don't get anything. Show me in the Bible where it says what the God frequency is. Okay? All right, you're not going to find that, okay?
Right? So we are born with this bioelectric current that God gave to us upon our birth. That is
okay.
Natural. That is resonant with him. But this music comes from the world, right? So it comes from the world, and we thus...
I think I know where she's going to go with this. I did preview this. I know exactly where she's going to go with this. And now looking at it, it really doesn't make any sense. Okay, watch this.
Have that frequency disrupt the God-ordained frequency. And this has been happening to us literally our entire lives. I mean, when we were little, we used to watch TV shows where they would sing songs, right?
Right.
And if you were like me when you were little, you were listening to music you probably should.
Yeah, like Sesame Street, Barney, or Muppets.
Shouldn't have been. Like, I have vivid memories of being 7 years old listening to Britney Spears.
Okay,
and in hindsight, that probably wasn't the best thing for me to be listening to.
Probably more so the subject matter of Britney Spears sings about, the way Britney Spears presents herself, and it's probably not the best.
At such a young age, such an impressionable age. No wonder I grew up with body image issues. But I digress. So the human frontal lobe, it's the largest of any mammal on the planet, the frontal lobe. The ones that we have, that is.
Is that true? Is that even true? Is that even true? Animal, the largest frontal lobe. I never thought about that. Both humans and great apes have relatively larger frontal cortices compared to those of lesser apes and monkeys. Hey, dolphins have a frontal lobe, but it's small. Look at that. Dolphins are also pervy. That could be another stream. All right, let's play this. Oh, so yeah, she's right there.
And the frontal lobe is the control center of the brain. It's where we problem solve and reason.
Well, okay, yeah.
And it's also where the beta waves and the alpha...
But you could lose the frontal lobe and your brain would still function and your body would still function. Okay. So I wouldn't say controls. Okay, but yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Waves
you know, it's
function.
splitting hairs.
So, beta waves. What are beta waves?
Okay, with beta waves. Let's see what she says.
Again, listen close, okay?
Okay.
Beta waves are how we dynamically and critically analyze incoming information.
Where is she getting this from? Okay, beta waves. Beta waves are after alpha, and this is where dude. Okay, I'm not. Okay. Beta waves. The waves after alpha are low amplitude and high frequency. Beta waves measure between 12 and 35 hertz. That's gonna be important later. They're activated when you're moving in high gear, making decisions and solving problems. Beta waves are often induce a response to fast-paced, unanticipated, and stressful situations. Okay. All right. But listen to how she frames it.
So those beta waves, they're active right now. They're active as you're listening to these words. You are taking these words in. You are analyzing. You are critically reasoning as I speak into your ear or as you watch this.
And she grossly gets this thing all weird. You got to listen to how she frames it.
Right? They're active as we read, as we receive information. And then the alpha waves. So the alpha waves, that's where incoming information is deposited into memory with no interpretation. So
okay, what is she talking about there? Okay, next, okay, we have alpha waves. They measure between 8 and 12 hertz. I'm sure this will come up pretty soon. They dominate when you are awake and alert, yet relaxed. Alpha brain waves make it easier to absorb new information and connect dots between different thoughts, parts of your brain, and increase activity. I mean, there's 4 waves, or actually there's 5 waves. 5 waves. So delta is going to be your first. Delta is like when you are in sleep. Okay, when you're in deep sleep, your brain produces delta waves. Okay, and when you're experiencing that, you're gonna have a good night's sleep. Then you have theta waves. Theta waves are the in between of that. Okay, they link between consciousness and unconsciousness. You will start getting theta waves probably when you first wake up, and you're like, "Oh, I'm not a morning person." That's you probably getting through all that. Then you have the alpha waves. Okay, which dominate when you are awake and alert, yet relaxed. So probably right now, like when you're listening to me talk to you, you're not stressed. Hopefully not. Hopefully you're not stressed. If you're in a relaxed place, enjoying a nice drink, enjoying just the environment around you, enjoying a cigar, or whatever it is you do to relax, you're going to be experiencing alpha waves. And those alpha waves are nice. They're fine. I mean, all these waves serve a purpose. I mean, no one's not worse than the other, whatever. You need a balance of them. Anyway, let's listen to her frame this. I try to explain it.
Oh, it's non-reasoning. You're not critically analyzing when you're in an alpha state. It's like slowed down, it's at peace, it's relaxed.
Is there a study on that? Where do you get that from? There's no reasoning in an alpha waves? What are you talking about? Let's see. Alpha brain waves with, let's say with memory, right? She's trying to say that you don't store memory. There's no reason. Let's see, find anything real fast. Alpha brain waves on with memory. Alpha brain waves are thought to be one of 5 types of electrical waves produced by the human brain. They are usually dominant when the brain is alert yet relaxed. Benefits of this type of brain wave include improved memory and increased intelligence, and creativity, and alertness. So where did you get that information from, ma'am? I don't understand where you got that information from. I mean, this whole thing talks about it too. Look at this. And it references studies. Okay, so. Associated with happiness. Here's the thing. Okay, supposedly, if you have very few alpha waves and more beta waves? Like you experience more anxiety? Okay, interesting about that.
Okay. So music puts us in an alpha state.
You know what else puts us in an alpha state? Right now, where you are, probably, unless you're really stressed, if you're kind of relaxed, you're in the alpha state. Okay? If you're chill, kind of relaxed, and you're alert enough to kind of think about things, reason about things, you're in an alpha state. Okay? Yeah, music can put you in an alpha state. Sure. Like meditation music, probably blues, maybe some jazz, maybe some country. Metal? Sure, maybe. But it'd be kind of interesting. I'm kind of curious about that.
And this is scientifically proven, okay? Science proves that drugs, marijuana, alcohol, video games, television, pornography.
I'll just make a whole list of vices. Just make a list of vices to frame alpha waves as like the worst thing ever.
That all puts us in an alpha state.
I guarantee you, she believes that an alpha state is a bad state. Hopefully I do get a chance to talk to her out of stream. We're like alpha state's not a bad state. Like, what are you talking about? If you're chilling on a hammock and reading a book, you're in alpha state. If you're chilling on a hammock and watching this stream right now, you're in alpha state. Okay?
And why do you think drugs and alcohol are such a big part of festivals, rock culture, hip hop?
I guarantee you drugs and alcohol are film festivals. They're not thinking about alpha waves or beta waves. They're thinking, these people want to party. These people want to get drunk. They already spent a lot of money on tickets. They want to spend a lot of money on booze. Guess it's not cheap. Make some money.
Right? More on that later, but
Okay.
just something to keep in mind. Now, right, this frontal lobe, again, it's reasoning. It's the master control center. It's how we,
Right.
regulate our emotions and our language. Within the frontal lobe is the prefrontal cortex, and that is the area where those alpha and beta waves are functioning. Okay? You still with me?
Yes.
The prefrontal cortex plays the central role in our cognitive functions. So it's that problem solving, it's comprehension, it's impulse control, it's creativity, it's perseverance. It also plays a critical role in the uniquely human capacity to modulate emotions. And it's where we filter our character, discernment, morality, and spiritual obedience. Okay? So again, this is where all that alpha and beta wave action is taking place. So knowing all of this...
Okay, I'm curious what her take is. She's probably like, knowing all this, we should actually increase the amount of beta waves we have in our prefrontal cortex and eliminate alpha waves. Guys, don't listen to music. It's designed by Satan because he knows what he's trying to do. He's trying to put those alpha waves in your brain. You don't want those alpha waves. Those alpha waves are bad.
We then understand that music puts us in an alpha state where we therefore cannot critically analyze the information we are receiving as we listen to it.
What are you talking about? How many people listen to music while they're doing intense things, while they're analyzing things, while they're in a creative state of mind? You yourself, watching this, have probably listened to music and done something that was intensive, and you're like real focused in on, right? So that doesn't make any sense. Of course, I would imagine it because she's not a neuroscience. I'm not a neuroscience either, but no, I can deduce that this doesn't make any sense. Think of examples, many examples where this does not be a thing. And also, just quickly search, look up alpha waves, beta waves, and the first thing you find, the first 5 things, 10 things, you can go search as much as you want. It's going to be about similar information. The recent studies about it is like, it's not how she framed it at all.
Because those alpha waves, they supersede the beta wave functions in the prefrontal cortex. And Satan knows that. Okay?
Satan knows that. What in the world? Is Satan like the puppet master? He's like, oh yeah, I'm going to maximize those alpha waves. I don't know why my Satan sounds like that. Okay. Right.
Satan knows that. Satan knows that music goes into your brain, which changes the receptors and the waves in your brain. Again, it disrupts that God-ordained frequency with the frequency.
But wait. Weren't those waves created by those waves were created by God? Okay, wait. Hold on here. The notes you hear, like the sounds you hear, the frequency you hear, is that not also part of God's creation too? One could argue that. One could argue that that's the case. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Of the world, thus changing your character, your emotions, your morality, your spirituality, where all that stuff is filtered through in the prefrontal cortex, right? So Satan knows.
I am so curious. I want to look up. Maybe go DuckDuckGo. I want to look up alpha waves changing character. I'm curious if she found some weird Christian Science study. Alpha waves. And then character. I'm just going to put morality. And then study. Let's see what we find. First thing comes up, nature.com. Science of teas, mood altering magic. Science about teas. Teas, mood altering magic. How the ingredients of a cup of tea can lift mood. Okay. Sound decisions, the combined role of ambient noise. You know what's interesting? She's saying this like as a bad thing and all this stuff, but there's like music theory. There's like music healing theory. There's people who believe, who put it out there as like a science, that if you listen to music at a certain frequency, that it can actually heal you, like 432, which is going to come up, or even 528, which is, I don't think she's going to mention that at all. But that's interesting there. No, I don't know where she got her thing from. How like a lot of alpha waves make it to where, oh, my morality's gone. I'm gonna sin some more. Okay, doesn't make any sense. If that's the case, then like Christian music, because Christian music would be activating the alpha waves too. That means someone who's listening to a bunch of Christian music and it's all like, oh, I love God, I love Jesus, empower me through whatever they see, is actually working for the devil based on her logic. Because even if it's good messaging and whatever, positive messaging, it's still using alpha waves, triggering alpha waves in your brain, which are going to mess up your morality and be like, based on what she's bringing up here. I don't see it. It doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway.
Knows how to charm the mind and short circuit the frontal lobe with music, literally brainwashing you in a way that addicts you to the brainwashing because it puts you in that relaxed alpha states. And think about it, our entire culture, our entire world loves music. And so music is purposely designed to instill morality, atheism, Gnosticism, all throughout the world.
Well, what are you talking about? Music can, based on the messaging in the music, like the lyrics and stuff. There's propaganda that can be put through music. Yes. But it's not like the sound waves. It's not like that. Okay? It's not screwing you up like that.
Now remember, the devil mimics God. He can't create anything. He can only mimic what God has already created. So
isn't it creating though? No, stop. I do not like it when Christians say this. And it drives me insane. That would be like, the devil can't create. The devil can only mimic. So you're saying he can create. He can create what God created. What's the difference there? If you're saying he can create what God created, you're saying he created. If you're saying he can mimic what God created, you're saying he created.
He has infiltrated the design and the purpose of music.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Now that's one part. Okay. If she started this like that, be like, you know what? Satan has infiltrated the music industry. Okay. That's an interesting hook. How? Wait, what do you mean by Satan? What are we talking about? Are you talking about like back in the days? Like when mob control, when organized crime got involved, which is actually how it started, really. If you look at the origins of the record companies, it's not good. It is like a cabal. Okay? There is a very tight club in the music industry, like the people behind the scenes. And if you are a performer, even if you're of the top tier, top elite, as she said, you're not in that club. You're not in that club. You're working for them. You can call it a secret society. You could call it an Illuminati, but really you're just giving it a label. You're just being kind of funny with it. But it is real. There is something dark and sinister within the industry. But it's humans. Don't get it all twisted as demons and all that stuff. Yeah, sure, you can call them that. You can describe them that sort of way. But they're human beings that are doing this stuff. And they're motivated by greed. Okay? All right, we don't have to put superficial labels on it and color it and be hyperbolic with it, you know? We know what greed can do. We know what humans can do when they're motivated by greed. So, come on. You do all sorts of things. Also, they're kids, okay? They'll do all sorts of things.
Because God created music. God knows how our brains function because he designed them. He created the alpha and the beta waves. He created the prefrontal cortex and the cognitive capabilities that are within the prefrontal cortex and the frontal lobe. He knows all of that. He created it. It's his. It belongs to him. But Satan also knows that. Satan mimics God. He imitates God. He infiltrates. So the purpose of music...
With like no example of this, we just believe. So like if you believe that just on its own, then I guess I have to ask you, like, do you feel the same way about music that she does?
The design of music has been severely convoluted by the devil. Now let's talk for a moment about God's design for music, what it says in the Bible about music.
All right.
I have a few verses
now,
here.
Keep in mind, there were no electric guitars back then. In fact, there wasn't even electricity. But the instruments were very primitive back then. Okay? All right. Anyway.
Ephesians 5:19. Speaking to one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody with your hearts to the Lord. Psalms 95:1. Come, let's sing for joy
I know where she's going with this. Of course you do. You already seen it.
To the Lord. Let's shout joyfully to
Pay
the
attention.
rock of our salvation. And then 2 Chronicles 5:13. In unison, when the trumpeters and the singers were to make themselves heard with one voice to praise and to glorify the Lord, and when they raised their voices accompanied by trumpets, cymbals, and other musical instruments, and when they praised the Lord, saying, He is indeed good, for his kindness is everlasting. Okay, so there's 3 examples, and if you look up Bible
So it
verses...
sounds like the Bible's pro-music. So what's the problem? She's going to make some reference. I'm already tell you, it's connected to the 432 thing. The 432 and 440 hertz, you may have not have heard of this. I didn't really know this was a thing until today, looking at this. And I was like, oh, wait, what? We'll get into that. We'll get into that a little bit.
Verses about music, you'll find many, 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 many. Okay. But what is one thing these three examples all have in common? Praise to the Lord. Joy to the Lord.
So the music has to say praise to the Lord. But isn't it still it'd still be triggering the alpha waves? It's not like your brain hears Lord and goes, okay, beta wave time. So what are you...
Music is God's design. We are wired to love music. We are wired to love music. God designed.
Now, here's another problem with that, ma'am. So that's we're putting religion in this. What if you're Muslim? Okay. Would you say that music is Allah's design? I mean, I don't know. I never read the Quran. I have no idea what the Quran says about music. And honestly, I'm not really sure how much I would care. But I'm just curious. What about Mormons? What does the Mormon Bible? What does the Mormon Bible say about music?
Designed us that way. But that's why Satan has infiltrated it entirely. God's design for music was to, as everything else, exalt him. Bring us closer to his presence. To make
us singing about Satan is no good. Okay, I get it. All right. Look, if you don't like the satanic music, you don't listen to it. All right.
Us closer to him. So Satan took that and flipped it on its head like he does everything else.
Okay.
Because he is the ruler of this world. And that is biblical. Now, Proverbs...
Satan's the ruler of this world? Okay.
23:7 says, "For as he thinks within himself, so he is." Okay? For as he thinks within himself, so he is. Now we're going to take that in the context of all the science we just talked about with the prefrontal cortex and the reasoning and the critical analysis that...
Man, this is silly because we're getting... Okay, the Bible had not... Dude, back in the Bible days, they had no idea about brain waves and stuff. Like, this, what are we doing here?
Beta waves allow us to have when we receive information.
And she even got the beta waves and alpha wave stuff wrong. So
alpha waves totally disrupt. Okay, so your decision making is influenced by factors either inhibiting or prohibiting you from obeying the Lord. So when it's prohibiting you from obeying the Lord, you are then yielding to the enemy. And that's what happens when we take in this secular music. And this will all make sense when I get into the history of it. I just wanted to cover the basis of the science so that you understand how it's actually working.
Well, it's not much of a science since you kind of got the alpha and beta wave stuff kind of wrong there. But okay.
Within your body, because it's vital to know that. Okay?
All right.
So music ultimately does play a part of the Great Deception.
The Great Deception.
And as we know, as Scripture tells us, there are two kingdoms, right? You're either worshiping the kingdom of Christ or the kingdom of this world.
I guess so. I don't remember that, but then again, whatever. Okay.
And the melodies of this world are...
But then again, if I were to base my life off of Scripture, what does the Scripture say about marriage? What does it say about wearing clothes of different fabric, things like that? I mean, there's things, man, in there that are just, they don't really apply. They don't hold up. Okay?
Are specifically designed to draw you far from God's presence.
Look, man, and if you believe in the Bible, you believe in the Bible. Like, I'm just saying, like, it's weird to use it as like 1% like fact. Like it's science.
Like I just said. 1 John 5:19 says, "We know that we are of God and that the whole world lies in the power of the evil one." Okay, this is a fallen world. And for that reason, it's Satan's kingdom and he will be stopped. Ultimately, God is sovereign. But
you guys waiting on that
such
one,
is the reality of natural sin.
Okay. How about we just move on from this part?
Okay, we live in a fallen world with an evil ruler.
On me. The music
So,
industry is satanic.
we
Let's
know-
talk about the industry.
that evil
Let's
people
talk
control
about
the world.
industry.
Like I always say, just walk outside your front door.
Right now, you're presenting the argument. I don't think she realizes it, that all music is evil, because if music triggers alpha waves in your brain, and that disrupts the beta waves, according to her, neuro and science over here, scientists over here, then even Christian music would be bad. Any music would be bad.
It's very easy to see that. Evil people control the world, and the last 2 years has told us
Well, that's
a lot
true.
about
Evil people
that,
do
but
control the world.
different topic for another time. And the world controls mainstream music of all genres.
Well, I mean, for the most part, the United States does. So there's other markets. Okay. Anyway, whatever.
All genres. Okay? And the music industry knows what they're doing. That's just plain and simple. The music industry 100% knows what they're doing, and they've been doing it for a very, very
But working for Satan?
time.
Are trying to maximize money. Trying to spread influence of their brands, of their stuff, to maximize profit as much as possible.
The human brain is a sponge in water, and it is changed by music, and that's not just me saying that. There's evidence of this.
Okay, let me show. Okay, get ready for this.
And I found one example, and I do want to thank Kevin Thomas for this because I found this through him. He did teach me a lot about the music industry over the past 6 months as well, so I want to give credit to him for this. Patty Hearst.
Patty Hearst. Let's hear her explain, and we're gonna fill in where she just forgot to color in. Okay.
Hey, if you haven't ever read about her, she was kidnapped by a terrorist group, and her abductors, they shut her in a room and played loud rock music continually for hours, to the point where she was brainwashed into believing that robbing banks for her abductors was a good idea.
Let's repeat that again. Maybe the person is a troll. Gave her that. I don't know, because that's crazy. If you know nothing about Patty Hearst, which I didn't know anything about Patty Hearst before I started this, so I'm not gonna pretend like I did. But reading up on it real fast, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take long at all. Just search her name, and you'll be directed to sources, and you see what happened to her. You'll see documentaries on it, and you'll see all sorts of stuff. But let's hear what she says. Patty Hearst was essentially brainwashed because she was listening to loud rock music in a closet, and she was brainwashed into wanting to rob banks for this terrorist group. Let's hear that. Did I get that right?
She was kidnapped by a terrorist group.
So Patty Hearst was kidnapped by a terrorist group.
And her abductors, they shut her in a room and played loud rock music continually for hours, to the point where she
Loud rock music to the point to where
was brainwashed
into
believing that robbing banks for her abductors was a good idea.
Full stop. If you believe that's the only thing that happened there, that's solely listening to loud rock music in a closed space, caused her or brainwashed her into robbing banks, if you believe that's 100% happened with nothing else, you are an idiot. You are a dumbass. Okay. How many people who listen to rock music and metal have not listened to it at full cranked volume in an enclosed space? 0 people. Most people, what I'm saying is, everyone who's listened to rock and metal on the regular basis, they have done so loud as possible. Crank the knob all the way. Crank the dial all the way in an enclosed space. Full blast. And do they go running around robbing banks en masse? No. They don't do that. They don't do that at all. What really happened is, yes, Patty Hearst was kidnapped by a left-wing terrorist group called the Symbionese Liberation Army, SLA. Okay, very interesting history about them. Okay. And Patty Hearst was a somebody. She was from money. She was from a very well-to-do family. Her father is, actually her grandfather, William Randolph Hearst, created the largest newspaper magazine, business, movie business too, in the world. She was kidnapped. She was put in a closet for a little bit, and there's probably. Well, I wouldn't be surprised there's loud rock music playing to disorient her senses a bit. But there's a lot more going around at the same time. What was also happening was the terrorist group was trying to use her for ransom. So while she's a prisoner, she's getting word that she's being used for ransom, and her family, instead of trying to help her, tries to negotiate her price, how much she's worth, and gets the feeling that they don't care for her, that her family doesn't care for her, that her family already thinks she's dead, things like that. So already we're talking about a young adult when she was kidnapped, 19 years old when she was kidnapped, and she is getting the sense that her family essentially wrote her off as dead, isn't going to really go out of their way to help her out. They didn't help her out at all. So yeah, I'd be pissed off and mad about that too. If I was kidnapped by if I was kidnapped by Antifa, they kidnapped me, and my family didn't want to come save me or answer to the ransom or whatever, even consider it. Yeah, I think I'll join their side. I'll join their cause. But screw that. You tell me what I need to do. I'm pissed off and mad about it as well. But there's a lot more going on there. During that capture, she was raped. There's very gruesome, nasty stuff. And they were talking to her. They were probably putting things in her head, some ideas in her head, and she was very mad. And yeah, so a lot more going on than just rock music. Okay, a lot more. Check out Marty Metal, the Bob Dylan interview. That interview, I do remember that. So even Bob Dylan has referenced that he sold his soul to the devil. And what I said in the beginning, if you're catching this just now, is that I believe is using the devil as a metaphor, as an analogy really, for what the industry really is. I don't think he actually means like the devil, legitly like Satan as we know him in the B or whatever. But that the record industry, the music industry, is a very dark and seedy place. And there are some very powerful figures that if you make a deal with them, they own you. They own you. 100%. But then again, maybe there is a supernatural element to this. But I will say, so far, the argument that this woman presents is not it. It's not the argument. Okay? She's saying, because this video is titled "The Music Industry is Satanic," which I agree there's an evil, seedy presence in that industry. But the argument she's making really is that even the music you hear, all of it sounds satanic and can brainwash you. And the argument the example she just brought up here was that rock music, loud rock music, brainwash Patty Hearst into robbing banks. No, it wasn't the loud rock music. Okay, it was the situation involving her family, essentially writing her off as dead, not helping her out. Okay, there's that, and you have the terrorist group talking to her, putting things in her head. Okay, having relationships. Apparently, she was raped, right? In that situation, they did have sex with her, and she didn't really have an option to say no. Though it was weird because it seemed like she had a relationship in that she actually had jewelry, shared kind of like jewelry with them, whatever. It's very... Look into the Patty Hearst thing. It gets very interesting. It's very dark. And in fact, she's an example of Stockholm Syndrome. When people think Stockholm Syndrome, they bring up her as an example. Okay. Anyway, let's continue on with what this lady has to say about this, though.
She did it willingly because they used music to brainwash her to change her central nervous system. To
No, man, you were making what happened with Patty seem like he was just listening to a lot of Beatles at full volume. Okay, no, stop. That's not what happened, man.
disrupt her prefrontal cortex, to disrupt her critical thinking skills.
Okay.
Where we filter our discernment, again, our spirituality, our morality, and our character.
Her foundation for this is totally flawed. It's on the premise that your brain has alpha waves and beta waves, but it's on the premise that anything that activates alpha waves is not allowing you to reason and think clearly. When you could look up things right now about alpha waves, and yeah, like that's the state you're in when you're like relaxed and you're thinking about things. That's alpha waves, where you are forming memories. You are thinking about things. You are able to make decisions. Okay? All right?
So her forced manipulation disrupted all of that, and she therefore could not think and reason because her beta waves were compromised to the point where she literally thought it was a good idea to rob banks.
There was so much more that went on in that situation. So much more. We'll just repeat it again. When she was kidnapped, the terrorist group reached out to the family, let them know that they have the daughter. And they asked for ransom. They were then negotiating the price down. The daughter heard that. The terrorist group told the daughter that. Okay? So, it's like, wait a second. You mean my parents who are rich beyond belief, aren't going to help me out in this situation? They're treating me as if I'm already dead? Okay, give me that gun. Give me that gun. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot more going on. The fact that she uses an example is just so silly. Loud rock music, a psychological warfare tech, FBI. Yeah, FBI. Okay, so, the loud rock music will disrupt you, yes. But it's not going to forever change you, okay? They use all kinds of mind tricks to, yes. But it was a combination. It wasn't just loud rock music. If you think it was just loud rock music, like, that's so dumb. That is the dumbest thing. Like, loud rock music will disorient your senses, all right? Like, you would play that in a standoff because you wouldn't be able to hear anything. You wouldn't be able to sense anything. It totally messed up your sense of hearing. And if it's loud enough, it's gonna be obnoxious, and you're gonna be tired of it. Yes. You combine that. I'm already seeing it in my head. Imagine a scene with loud ass rock music. It's going all the time, okay? And they're talking to her. They're raping her, and then she's hearing that her family, the owner essentially wrote her off as dead. At that point, if that was me and I was 19, I was like, bro, just tell me what you want me to do. Yeah, I'm good. You put me in the direction, I'll do it. I'll do it. Man.
Because for her abductors, because of what they did. And this example, this right here, Patty Hearst, this is the devil's plan for all of us with secular music.
So what she's saying here is loud music, like the music we listen to, like baby metal and stuff. If you listen to that, it's going to change our minds. All right? It's brainwashing us. That's what she's saying.
Is forcing conversion to convince us that these messages within these songs are all good ideas to change our character. And again, this isn't to scare you. This is to make you aware. Make you aware of...
Okay. There's one thing she said. Okay. The messaging in the music, that is entirely different. I mean, that's where she could go with this. Like the messaging in the music, that's very important. Very, very important. listen to nonstop music about, well, if you listen to like anti-establishment music all the time, nonstop, like music that's all about rebellion, rising up, rise against the machine, rage against the machine, whatever. Yeah, you're gonna have that sentimentality. You may have certain thoughts. It may, it's gonna have influence. It's gonna jump to the same conclusion the Bible thumpers did back in the 50s. Yeah. But anyway.
Every time you turn on the radio, what those songs are doing or trying to do. What the intention, what the purpose of those songs are. From all your favorite artists. And trust me, I spent a long time thinking Taylor Swift was the exception. I really did.
Taylor Swift isn't even the exception. Taylor Swift is satanic, y'all. It's just satanic messaging. I can't even reference one Taylor Swift song for... Wait, no. Blank check. I don't think she actually wrote that song, though. Doesn't matter. If you play a Taylor Swift song backwards, it's actually secret messages from the devil. What the hell? Come on. Can we talk about the industry? So far, she hasn't really said anything about the industry that was like anything cool, you know?
Like I said, in 2020, when I started to wake up to all this kind of stuff, before coming to Christ in late 2021, I thought she was the exception. So whoever you're thinking about right now, I promise they're not.
Baby Metal, Nemophila, Love Bites. They're satanic. Well, I gotta tell you, Baby Metal, that Gimme Chocolate, I can't listen to that without eating a lot of chocolate. All right. I don't know how that's satanic, though. I don't know. I mean, come on, man. Okay. Oh, Baby Metal Death. Now that. Ooh. The crucifixion, when they played it live, and then when they do that crucifixion thing. Oh, the satanic imagery. Oh, but it's fun. It's cool. It's crazy. It's very metal. But we're not even talking about that. Doing out in the weeds with like she started her argument with about brainwaves. And she's going to get into the frequency of music. She's going to talk about it, but she's not a music theorist, and she doesn't have music history knowledge. So she's going to get this wrong.
Unfortunately, I mean, it's an unfortunate truth. And again, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. We will talk all about that in a moment. Staying on track with the question of where did this start exactly? How did it start? And who was responsible for the perpetuation of it?
Yeah, okay. Who can we blame?
So, some
Satan.
history. And this is all stuff you can look up. And you might have to dig a little bit for it, I'll admit. But it's there.
Okay. Gotta take your word for it.
In 1885, the Music Commission of Italy declared that all instruments and orchestras should use a tuning fork that vibrated at 440 hertz.
Okay, wait. Is it 1885, right? 1885. This 432 hertz argument we're going to get into. Let me go ahead and pull this reference here just so we have that there. There is a graph that's very helpful. This one here. This might be helpful for us. I said 18. What year did she say?
Orchestra should use Music Commission of Italy declared that all 1880, but it's there. In 1885.
1885. Okay.
The Music Commission of Italy declared that all instruments and orchestras should use a tuning fork that vibrated at 440 hertz. Okay. So that was different. 440 hertz was different from the original standard of
But even so, this graph right here. So the 432 hertz. Okay, there's an argument that the 442 hertz is what everybody used in the past, but we now have forgotten the ancient wisdom of our ancestors, stuff like that. Okay, but there's more to this in there. Okay, when this graph we'll bring up here. Musicologist Alexander John Ellis has researched, measured, documented ancient pipe organs and other stuff. Okay, he's going to get into this. So on this graph we're looking at, you see the hertz here, you see the dates there, 1880, around 1850. Okay, you do see it getting closer to 440 hertz, but there's still deviation. Okay, there's still deviation, even with Italy. Italy is represented by purple dot. Because even if they declared, it doesn't mean that they're not going to use other frequencies. Because some composers like a different frequency. They feel like it just resonates better. It just sounds better. Okay, it's really about sound. It's about how you hear it. Okay. Let's see. And then, of course, back before that, it was all over the place. Okay. Some use 432-ish, but it was not an exact. It was all over. And some even went super high, as you can see, like in the 500s. Anyway.
432 hertz around the world. And this is all the way back in 1885. Now, 2 hertz around 40 hertz. Okay.
So now she's saying, Italy was saying, hey, use 440 hertz.
So that was different. 440 hertz was different from the original standard of 432 hertz around the world.
So 432 was not a standard. There was not a standard of 432. Okay. I'll be curious. I'm open to change my mind and sit corrected, but I don't see anything where that was a standard. And by the way, guess what? There's still some people who still use 432. There's even recent examples. Metallica's Nothing Else Matters. That was in 432 hertz. The tuning was in 432. I think Jimi Hendrix used 432. Dust in the Wind by Kansas, 432 hertz. You could watch some videos on YouTube that will compare the sound, and there is a kind of, in some ways, the 432 sound, it does sound a little bit more warm. I don't know how to describe it. It's just a little difference. It's hard to really articulate. It's noticeable, but it's not really changing you. I mean, there's people out there that will present, and she's going to get into it. I know. Let me just let her talk, and then we'll just tell her where she got it wrong.
And this is all the way back in 1885. Now, in 1917, the American Federation of Musicians endorsed the Italians and also adopted the 440 hertz. And then, in 1953, the 440 hertz frequency became worldwide standard. It became the worldwide standard for tuning all musical instruments.
But it's not like it's enforced by it's not like you tune out of okay, it's not like if you deviate, you're going to go to jail or the government's going to crack down on you. Like, what are you talking about? There is a weird kind of conspiracy around this. It's kind of interesting to explore. She'll talk about it briefly. Okay, I'm going to Marty Metal in the chat. Let's see. Katy Perry says she sang Christian music and got nowhere until she sold her soul to the devil. Well, she did sell her soul. She started singing about things she didn't really like, but then she liked it because she had to for the money. Because you can sing about Christian music, but how far are you really going to get? How far are you really going to go with that? If you really want to make the waves, if you really want to make moves, you have to be able to sing what they want you to sing about. I mean, the stuff they sing about, their lyrics aren't even written by them. It's written by somebody else. Jeez, there's a fly here. So, yeah. She did sell her soul to the devil. But once again, I have to ask, that devil she's talking about, is that the supernatural being from the Bible? Or is that what we're calling the men in suits? that holding all the cards, so to speak, with that contract, the lawyers and stuff. They're gonna make sure you cooperate. You do what they ask. And if not, well, they can always collect because there's a death clause. The death clause video, we gotta watch. We gotta watch on this channel. It's a crazy video.
So the 432 hertz is said to have a natural vibration, which is fundamental to nature and mathematically consistent to the universe. So
Okay. There's no science behind that. What are you talking about? 432? Okay.
that's like the Fibonacci sequence, right? And then the 440.
Whoa. I think they breed that up here. Oh, let's see. Let me look as she's talking about it.
40 hertz, which became the worldwide standard in 1953, is an unnatural frequency meant to disturb our vibrations. And
There's not even any truth to that. Wait, first you got to present the argument. And how does 440 hertz disrupt your vibrations? Is that the argument she tried? Wait, so she's trying to link it to her first argument. But you could still listen to music in 432. Actually, you can listen to any music you want in 432. There's a 432 music player that will convert it to 432 hertz. It's very simple. It's easy to do. But even 432 hertz would trigger alpha waves in your brain. Because her premise goes like this. Alpha waves in your brain are bad. They stop you. They prevent you from... I want to get it right here. They interfere with your beta waves. They interfere with your ability to reason. Okay? With your character, with your morality. So, alpha waves are bad, but beta waves are good. And now she's trying to say 440 hertz is... I think she's trying to link that to that argument and say that is the bad frequency. That will disrupt it. But then... any music, it doesn't matter the hertz, is going to trigger like a response in your brain waves and stuff. So it's crazy. It'd be better if she was like a scientist on this stuff.
and our
lawyers are the devil's advocates, 100% Marty Battle.
So, again, you can look all this stuff up and you're going to find, if you go on Google, 100% you will.
The real satanic industry is our legal system, the courthouse. In God we trust? No. No. And you see that written above a courthouse, in God we trust? Like, no. That's the devil's place. That's the devil's place, man.
You will find people saying, that's a conspiracy, and then that's a conspiracy, that's a conspiracy, that's a conspiracy.
It is a conspiracy.
Use an alternate search engine if you can, and dig. If you're really interested.
Okay. I think now is a good time. I've done some digging on this. And so I found a study that was like, okay, the current reference frequency for tuning musical instruments is 440 hertz. Some theorists and musicians claim that 432 tuning has better effects on the human body, but there are no scientific studies to support this hypothesis. So here we go. So they took some parameters and perceptions after listening to music at different frequencies, 440 and 432. He only had 33 volunteers, though. Very small participant pool there. Okay. Very small sample size, I should say. Yeah, 2 sessions. Okay. One at 440, one at 432. Very simple. And the results, 432 tuned music was associated with a slightly, not significant, but slightly decrease of mean of blood pressure values. Okay. A marked decrease of heart rate and a slight decrease of respiratory rates, but small, very small compared to 440. So there is that. But as far as like having a significant, profound effect, that they didn't notice. But then again, this is a small sample size. Now, she's going to bring up something else pretty soon that's kind of crazy. And I try to dig and to find that study. Yeah, that's a whole thing. That's a whole thing. Let's talk about more about these frequencies, though. There's something she said, in kind of passing, that the frequency 432 is the natural frequency, and that's not true. That's not even true. She's basing that being like the frequency of the heart, brain. That's kind of what people a lot of reference there. But really, the frequency of your heart is like, what, 1 hertz to 2.5 hertz. Frequency of your brain waves are from like 1 hertz to 70 hertz and are not tuned to 8 hertz, or rather divisions of 432 in any way. So it doesn't hold up the way she would think.
Interested in this, dig, you have to dig. Because they don't want you to know the truth. They'll cover it up and call everything a conspiracy. That's
okay.
The word.
I get that sometimes you have to dig to find things, but sometimes you go so far, you're like trying to confirm your bias. Okay? All right. Let's just be careful on that.
Conspiracy is just a really great way to make someone with legitimate knowledge sound like an imbecile, right? With legitimate information, sound like an absolute imbecile, so that you don't take them seriously, so that you just write it off.
Well, I'm not taking this very seriously.
Okay, but God has given us eyes to see and ears to listen,
all.
so we don't take what the world says at face value. We go deeper than that. Now,
am I supposed to take this seriously?
This was strategic, right? This big shift from 432 to 440. This shift was strategic.
Okay, first off, she hasn't demonstrated that 432 and 440 have any difference effect whatsoever on your body. She said that there is, but she has not presented that at all. She's the one that should be presenting that stuff. Okay? But she has not done that. So how am I supposed to take her? What am I supposed to do with this? Just take her at her word?
To lower the vibrations of the mass population, because, like we just talked about, Patty Hearst controls the mind. So when you can control music, you can control the masses, which is the goal across the board.
Okay. Governments wanting to control the masses, that is true. That is true. But if so, why would they allow songs that clearly speak of rising up and fighting against the establishment, which is also common? Okay? Not doing a great job of controlling the music. Okay?
We've seen with all of this pandemic crap.
Now, the China Communist Party is doing a great job controlling music on their side. They're it. If you want to see a government controlling music, you look at them, or you look at Russia, you look at North Korea. That's controlling music. Now, with that said, does the music industry have some messages they want to put out there? Oh, sure. They'll also be the messages that people eat up. Okay, that people like to hear. And it's kind of like, it kind of feeds back into itself.
Over the past 2 years, right? Control the masses. That's always been the goal with every single thing that they do. It's the goal of Hollywood. It's the goal of the music industry.
Yet it was rock. Remember, okay, the other thing here, during the Vietnam time, when the government and the military really wanted to stay in Vietnam, okay? The military industrial complex really wanted us to stay there. They didn't want us to leave. But it was the rebellion. It was the a lot of rock and roll. What was the music around that time? A lot of rock and roll. What was the message? Anti-war, okay? A strong anti-war message. How's that controlling the masses? How's that controlling the masses there? It sounds like they don't have control in that.
industry. It's the goal of the medical industry.
Okay.
It's the goal of the pharmaceutical industry.
Well, yeah.
It's the goal of the food industry. It's the goal of the government. Control the masses. So music...
I do like her control the masses thing when it comes to the government and the food industry and all that stuff. That's kind of interesting. But we're talking about the music industry is satanic. Let's stay on topic.
Particularly because of all of this, aforementioned science pertaining to the brain and the alpha waves and the beta waves and the prefrontal cortex. Music itself is a war on human consciousness. So is Hollywood and entertainment, television, all that, and porn. But it's a war on human consciousness. And Nikola Tesla said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibrations. And what's music? Energy, frequency, and vibrations.
I don't think Nikola Tesla was talking about music, though. Okay? I don't think he was talking about that.
Music matters. Music matters. And again, if you look up Bible verses about music, you will find a ton of them, and it's because music matters.
Okay, so music's good.
God designed music to draw.
Yes, God designed music. Okay, go with that premise. So music is good. But okay, she's not even talking about messaging itself, so I'm not going to even bring that up there. Okay, I'm not going to give her an assist on that. Because one could make that argument. That's the argument that she should have just made there. Is the messaging in music is satanic. Okay? That would have been a lot better than talking about brain waves and things that I'm just going to say she probably researched. Yeah, sure. But, come on. I could quickly find things to just debunk this stuff.
Draw us close to his presence, and Satan infiltrated that. So this whole shift from 432 to 440, that was used in the CIA operations, Operation Paperclip and MK Ultra. With MK Ultra particularly, the
432, the 440, Operation Paperclip and MK Ultra. What are you talking about? Okay, I mean MK Ultra. Yeah, they used LSD. And Operation Paperclip was just seizing Nazi sciences, Nazi technology. Hey, that's what you do in war. You defeat an enemy, you take their technology, you take their research. You would be a fool if you didn't. Yeah, sure, they were brought forth by all sorts of horrors and stuff, but you don't let that research go away in vain. If you could benefit from it, you use it.
Really discovered music as means of manipulating and controlling mankind, and MK Ultra is, if you're not
I'm sure the CIA did experiments with music, sure.
Where mind control.
Okay.
And that's something else that when you look up, they say it's a conspiracy theory, but it's not. There's literal CIA documents about this.
MK Ultra is not just music, though. They probably use music at some degree, whatever, but they were focusing on LSD. They're trying to use LSD. Okay. Oh, I like that line there. Symphony of Destruction. That's right.
CIA documents about this saying that they use psychological operations as means of warfare. So This is legitimate stuff. Okay, and it's all connected, right? Because the CIA is still involved with Hollywood, with entertainment industry, with the music, and they're all one and the same.
I think she could have made a better argument here, honestly. At this point, she could have framed it better.
They all worship the same ruler,
Satan.
And it's exactly what we just talked about with 1 John 5:19.
Well, the CIA is a satanic organization. FBI is too. Sure.
The whole world lies in the power of the evil one.
The whole world. Okay. I mean, okay. Well, there's a lot of evil. I guess I would explain that.
There's only two kingdoms, and they ain't serving the kingdom of Christ. None of them.
No, they're serving the kingdom of whoever's in charge. Oh, who's establishment in the charge? Not to get into politics or anything.
So, we'll do an entire episode on MK Ultra and
Hey, JFK was assassinated because he tried to fight against those alphabet agencies. Okay. Okay. They got him out of there. That sent a message real fast.
all that another time. But again, there's so much here. I had to condense what I could so I didn't overload you with information. I mean, the preparation for this took hours and hours and hours and hours. So
Okay.
imagine how many more hours that would have taken if I did really get into the depths of the MK Ultra stuff too, right?
Okay.
So we'll save that for another time. But you're free to
Sure.
go down all the rabbit holes about that on your own.
I talked about it before on another
Now,
channel.
Dr. Daniel and Bernadette Shubin.
This is the study. This one, I'll let her talk about it. And this study I cannot really find at all. Well, I found where it's referenced. I found that. I'll show you. But also, it doesn't actually help our argument. It actually destroys our argument.
Their studies have proven that
Prove it.
any music that contains pounding low frequencies is considered to be a brain drain, literally damaging your brain via the alpha state influence on the prefrontal cortex.
Okay. Did you catch what she said there? That this study... Hear that again.
Now, Dr. Daniel and Bernadette Shubin.
Dr. Daniel, Bernadette Shubin. That's not even their name. We'll get
Their
to that.
studies have proven that
Or
any
Shubin.
music that contains pounding low frequencies is considered
Pounding low frequencies.
to be a brain drain, literally damaging your brain via the alpha state influence on the prefrontal cortex.
Okay. So any music with pounding low frequencies, like techno music, like pounding, like techno beats, is going to be damaging your brain like that? Well, I mean, there's a lot of people who listen to that and they are still pretty well intelligent and doing fine. Now, there's some people who listen to it and they're just, whatever. They're just ravers who are just probably have their mind all messed up on ecstasy and whatever. That's a whole other thing. But low frequencies. If the concern is about the 440 hertz, that frequency, then lowering it even more to where, let's say it's like 432. Let's say it was low and they're using like the tuning of 432 like that. Then that's a bad thing. Now, this study, though, I don't know what's actually in this study. I don't know because I won't be able to read it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is where I found it. Okay, I found this study by finding this eventually. That's a long thing to explain. Goodness of God Ministries. This website here talks about this: the power of music for good or evil, and it references this study. It's the only place I could really find it. And let's go there. Let's see. Right here. So, Dr. Daniel and Bernadette Skubik, a driving drum rhythm in excess of 3 to 4. Now, this one's talking about a driving. Okay, this one I believe is referencing the same study. Okay, but it's talking about a different part of it where in that study it's saying a driving drum rhythm in excess of 3 to 4 beats per second will put a brain into a state of stress, regardless if the listener likes or dislikes the music. And when the brain is in the state of stress, it releases opioids, a group of natural hormones that function like morphine, to help return itself to normal. The natural opioids, if experienced often enough, can be addicting, creating the listener to continual desire for the high, somewhat like a high renderous experience, which is why people continue to like that music. Like, okay, so if you listen to music that it brings forth that state, and you enjoy it, yeah, you're gonna listen to that music some more. Okay, what's wrong with that? Nothing wrong with that. But let's talk about that study. Let's let's try to anyway. Let me go down to it. It's actually not hard to find. The study she's referencing. Let's see. I think it's this one right here. Danielle and Bernadette Skubik. The neurophysiology of rock, published separately as an appendix to John Blacard, Pop Goes the Gospel, Rock in the Church, 1991. I don't think I'm going to find this at all. I mean, maybe I could find it and read what they said in there, but it's not worth my time. When she was like, it's a brain drain. They listen to low frequencies, and you could just think for yourself. You listen to baby metal, okay? If you listen to baby metal and a song like Papa Ya comes on, or Da Da Dance, something with pulsating low frequencies, or Light and Darkness, or probably Mirror Mirror, probably that one too, or Time Wave. Time Wave would be a good one. If you listen to those songs, do you feel like your brain's being drained? Like, is that what's going on there? No? It doesn't work like that. It's not like you're losing your memory. Okay? You're losing your consciousness. It's not that serious. It's music. Now, if she was talking about the messaging in music, that could be a different thing. About the messaging and its influence, sure. Maybe. But this, I'm not buying it, man.
So I want to kind of caveat that by saying that music can be used for therapeutic purposes, right?
Yes, it can be.
People with epilepsy, for instance, have
in low frequencies and high frequencies.
Bioelectric abnormalities, and that can be normalized by music for people like that, for instance. Now, I want to be clear.
Just because your brain releases waves and releases hormones and whatever, neurotransmitters in response to music is not a bad thing. Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned here with, like, let's say epilepsy and stuff. Well, so what about people without epilepsy? Why not? Why not?
They're not listening to Cardi B or classic rock, like the Patty Hearst situation. It's like Mozart and Bach, that kind of stuff. That standard was changed in 1953, right? So it's music from before that time that has therapeutic components, because a lot of it does have that 432 natural frequency.
There's 432 and even some modern songs. But I don't think she would know that, though. I don't think she knows that. But even the 440 has not been proven to be disruptive to the brain. And the 432 is still acting. It's still, your brain would still, regardless of the music, it's not even about the music, really. Like, if you were in a relaxed state, you have alpha waves going on in your brain, okay? Alpha waves are going, okay? Right now in a relaxed state, low stress, just kind of chilling. You're taking things in. Yeah. And of course, music could help with that. All that. Whatever, man.
So I just wanted to add a caveat to that, because it was a question I had, so I know that someone listening may have the same question, okay? Just want to put it out there. Now, therapy obviously isn't the goal with the music industry, okay? I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah.
But these low pounding frequencies that I mentioned, they're all found in rock, hip hop, pop, EDM, etc.
They're also found in meditation music that claims to heal you and stuff, but maybe that's a front. Maybe that's a front. The low pounding frequencies. It's too much bass. Too much bass.
And that 440 hertz is obviously found in all modern music in one form or another. Now,
I'm okay.
Okay, so they have the
She referenced rock, Jimi Hendrix. In fact, you can find this out yourself. You can search. And you can use DuckDuckGo if you want to. Okay, you just be like, modern music in 432 hertz, because some bands, some artists recognize it and they use that. Let's see. Right now I'm just getting a lot of I'm actually getting a lot of meditation music. Let's see. Rock. All right. Classic rock 432. I'm looking for a particular list. All right. Artists are recording 432 hertz. That's good. Let's say jazz fans. Some jazz performers did 432, and now was seen as a devil's a satanic genre too. Let's see. In the Air Tonight. That song. Oh, let's go here. Oh, I was playing. Metallica's what is it? Nothing Else Matters. That. Bob Marley, One Love. Enya, Only Time. Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. Barely see this. Let me move it to this monitor. Pearl Jam, Black, Journey, Don't Stop Believing. Don't Stop Believing's 432? What? Look at that. Evanescence, Bring Me to Life. Shut up. So it happens. You can experience it. Not because I think she has this premise that because it was a standard that is an absolute law, but no, like you could change your tuning and it's okay. It's okay, guys. It's okay. Sometimes I do that.
the science, right? The musical elite industry has the science. So who is their kind of inspiration? Obviously Satan, but
obviously Satan.
What's the physical manifestation of that? Alister Crowley.
Okay.
Alister Crowley was a wicked man.
Okay, sure.
Absolutely wicked.
All right.
And there's a lot of controversy surrounding him. A lot of New Age people, a lot of people involved in the occult. Some love him, but some will say that he's considered a joke. He's not taken seriously. Of course, they would want you to think that. Of course, the powers that be would want them to think that. Because here's the truth about him, okay? And
we know Alister Crowley's
I'm going to plead the blood of Jesus Christ over me and all viewers and listeners right now.
Yeah.
So Crowley was an occultist, and he had devout Christian parents that he rebelled against. He was really fueled by a hatred for Jesus unlike anything seen. This is an actual quote by him in the book Eye of the Triangle that was written by Israel Regardie. I think I pronounced that correctly. This book was published in 1970, and this is a quote directly from...
I mean, I feel like we're far-reaching here on this, because what is Alister Crowley's connection to the music industry? Any whatsoever? Like, is he connected to these studios? What are we talking about here? This is... When was he even alive? When did he die? It probably influenced songs, sure, and what to sing about and all that, and the messaging in songs, sure. Sure, they influenced bands, influenced rock music, sure. Okay. And there's plenty of rock and metal bands that get influence from satanic sources, you know. A lot of that is just because it looks cool. It's cool imagery. It's kind of like just a gimmick for attention. And sometimes I do that. I mean, whatever.
Alister in the book, okay? So, to hell with Christianity. I will build a new heaven and earth. I want blasphemy, murder, rape, and revolution.
And you even get that in Taylor Swift?
Okay. So, he is essentially the father of modern Satanism. Anthony LaVey also, but that's another can of worms. And he's a self-declared Ipsimus, which means beyond the gods. He's self-declared Ipsimus in 1921 for himself. Now, he wrote the Law of Thelema. So, Thelema is a word taken from Greek, and it means will. And Crowley claimed that the Law of Thelema, it's a book, but it's also a philosophy, that came from his book, of religion, essentially. He claimed that it was all dictated to him by an ancient...
So I wish we would have just started here. Okay, this is where her argument... If she started here... Okay. I wish we could just take out everything we heard about the brain waves and frequencies and things like that. Let's start with the influences of rock. Okay? How Alister Crowley was inspiration for the Beatles. Even the Beatles, the good old Beatles. No way. Even Ozzy, Oh, all sorts of. Wait. Let's get a whole list. Shall we? How many bands were influenced by Alister Crowley? How many? Curious. Are we gonna get that answer? How the Wicked Man influenced 6 different bands. Let's check this out. Beatles, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Led Zeppelin. Aw, David Bowie. Aw, Iron Maiden. No way. I wouldn't be surprised. Ozzy Osbourne. Aw, I'm not surprised. Color me surprised. So, going back, John Lennon saying he sold his soul to the devil. Maybe he actually did. Maybe he had a ceremony, a ritual, and he sold his soul to the devil. Maybe he actually did. That would have been much better than to start with the nanowaves and all that stuff.
Spirit, and that it laid out for him the key principle of life as he saw it, which is
Jay-Z?
the pursuit of individual will, unconstrained by laws or ethics. And he is responsible for the term, do what thou wilt. Do what thou wilt. Now, what does that mean? Do what you want. YOLO. Right? Live your best life. Live like you're gonna die young.
Well, okay, yeah, but you could... He's not the only source for that phrase, though. Because the other phrases you mentioned could be found in other places. Live your best life. I mean, come on, man. Is that not a positive message? Live your best life. Live your best life. Okay, anyway.
Okay. Now, obviously, this is entirely unbiblical because all throughout the scripture we're called to God's will and not our own. You know, Matthew 6:10, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. It's not my kingdom come, my will be done. It's thy kingdom come, thy will be done, meaning God. So do what...
Well, in that regard, yeah, the music industry doesn't care about God. Most definitely is not concerned about God's will. I don't think anyone really is. I wouldn't even say the church is. I mean, okay, it's God's will getting expensive jets, expensive things, amassing a lot of wealth for themselves, giving a little bit here and there for charity. I mean, I'm not, of course, I have to go there with the Catholic Church, having a pedophile priest, and just, you know, moving them from church to church to kind of protect him. You know, that's not a good thing. Not a good thing at all.
Thou will is a slap in the face to our Savior, to the true living God. Crowley
so in that area, I'm kind of with her that our society's kind of damned. Okay, because but anyway, I'll listen to more of what she has to say. I'm curious.
Was known for his sex magic, eroticism, spirit cooking. Now, just like MK Ultra, this is, I could do an entire episode on this.
Spirit cooking, is that something that happened in the Bohemian Grove?
Topic. Spirit cooking. So just a brief synopsis. That involves sperm, breast milk, urine, and blood in ritualistic forms. So Marina Abramvik, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, she adopted that from Crowley. And Marina has been...
Hey, yeah, people are doing some really fucked up shit inspired by that guy. 100%. Politicians, band members, 100%.
Seen with celebrities, musicians, politicians like Hillary Clinton, just to name another, Lady Gaga, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
In these spirit cooking rituals.
Did Taylor Swift do a spirit cooking ritual? She probably did.
Ellen DeGeneres. And again, this is another thing.
Ellen DeGenerate, more like it.
If you look up spirit cooking, conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory. Why do they want to cover it up so bad? Why? If it's all BS, why paint over it so vigorously with conspiracy, 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 conspiracy?
Okay. Now this...
Why?
Now, wait. Now, does she have proof that there's particular members in the music industry that are... she mentioned Lady Gaga, but like, how extensive is it? Like, is she able to tell us, like, particular... particular studios, particular record labels, particular members in management, particular elites that engage in this stuff? I'll be curious. I don't doubt that it happens. Don't get me wrong there. I'm pretty sure some fucked up shit happens behind the scenes. Some really fucked up shit. But I'm curious what she's about to tell us. I did
if
not.
It's all
preview
nonsense.
This part.
Why even bother?
This part I'm seeing for the first time.
Because it's not nonsense. This stuff is happening. Spirit cooking is real. And, you know, that kind of falls into the adrenochrome stuff, which in 2020 my eyes were
kids' blood
pulled wide open to. That's kind of led me down all those rabbit holes. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, with the music industry and with Hollywood and with the elites and all that, the adrenochrome, Epstein Island, all connected. It's all connected, all of it. CIA, entertainment industry, music industry, the politicians, with this kind of stuff.
I feel like we're getting more. I think we're not focusing on just the industry here. I know she tends to get real broad and very vague. It's just kind of focus. I'm following.
And
now.
it's sick. It's
Yeah.
sickening. And
Okay.
it came from him. The inspiration of the music industry.
The inspiration, like the single inspiration of the music industry. I think he was the inspiration. He was definitely a inspiration for sure. I don't think he inspired church gospels. I don't think he was the inspiration for blues and country. Was Alister Crowley the inspiration for blues? Huh.
It's sick. And Crowley, his tarot cards and his books, unfortunately, are still popular and still available for purchase.
Well, tarot cards are just a bunch of made up bullshit. Okay? Tarot cards don't mean anything. Like you're giving it meaning. Tarot cards, Ouija boards, all that stuff, none of that means anything to me other than just stuff on paper or cardboard. And, a lot gets into people's heads about that stuff. I said that having engaged with those things, played around with those things, dabbled with those things, and I haven't seen any significance or anything with it. So,
look, don't buy these books because
tarot cards, spirit crystals, whatever nonsense that people bring up. It's just I hear it, I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Curious. Just you don't need them in your house. Okay? You just don't need them. He was a poet. So here's one of his beautiful, just absolutely breathtaking poems that he wrote. That's just gorgeous.
Okay.
Just gorgeous literature, right? I bind my blood in Satan's hands. All this that lieth betwixt my hands. To thee, the beast, and thy control, I pledge me, body, mind, and soul.
Okay, so it's a prayer to the devil.
Bravo, Crowley.
Okay. All right.
I mean, if that doesn't make your skin crawl, I don't know what will. It's sick. He was sick.
Yeah,
He's
the guy was definitely sick.
a sick man. And there's so many like him today. He taught that, and I quote, one could be a genius in music through practicing Satanism.
Maybe. Is that true? One could be a genius practicing Satanism? Is that why they keep on throwing? I wish you would have started with this. This is a good place to start. I can't debunk this. What am I supposed to say to that? Maybe. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's artists that reference the record industry as being satanic. They reference that their deals as like deals with the devil. Is that symbolism? Are they being hyperbolic there? I mean, what's going on? And what about these deals? Is it just a simple contract signing, or are there some real strange rituals going on behind the scenes that we don't know about? I couldn't tell you. But then again, will she present those things? I hope so.
I mean, this is the man that is the inspiration for classic and modern music. And when I say classic, I mean after 1953, when the frequency, the 440 hertz frequency.
Okay. Now this is where it's going. Wait. Alister Crowley's connected with 440 frequency. Okay, is there any proof of that? What are we talking about? Okay, let me see. Alister Crowley. First off, wait. When was he born? When was he alive? I don't even. 1875. Okay. Okay. And all right. Alister Crowley and the 440 hertz. I want to see this. I want to see this conspiracy. I want to see. Is there a connection there? Oh, the eyeopeningtruth.com. Let's see. You know, even the Beatles had some music in 432. So that's interesting. All right. The only thing I could see right now is this thing. We'll look at it together. Live. Man, that's small print. 432 documented a fundamental electromagnetic beat of Earth. Is that even true? What are we talking about? The electromagnetic beat of the Earth. Okay. Where does the 440 go? Oh, it's just tags. That's how we got here. Okay. Yeah, I don't see any connection with Alister Crowley and the 440 hertz or whatever. I don't understand that. But hey, guess what? You can listen to music in 432, okay? And some bands every now and then will use 432. Some live performance, well, they'll do that. Anyway, I don't see the connection there. She's the one that's supposed to be presenting that. She said it. She didn't present anything to back that up. She just said that it is. Mr. Crowley, what went on in your head? Mr. Crowley, did he talk to the dead? I'm feeling that way. I'm feeling like I'm talking to myself right now about this thing. Okay? I wonder if she'll ever come on. We could talk about this. I will say nice things.
Became the worldwide standard, okay?
I'll be nice.
So, what was right after 1953? 1960, 1970. What was very popular in the 70s? What we refer to now as classic rock. Okay, so here's where I'm going to start to get into some of the examples. Okay?
And of course, rock and roll, the vibe of rock is rebellion. So it kind of makes sense to look at figures, look at people that are like that are like a thorn to the establishment, a thorn to like society, I guess. That represents something that people don't want you to see, like Alister Crowley. He'll say things and do things that most people don't want you to see for a good reason. Like, I kind of wonder, like, do the Beatles actually, like, are they cool? Were they cool with Alister Crowley and the stuff he was doing? Or were they like, because you could be inspired and use that as influence, but not be on board with it, you know? If that makes sense to you. Like, just because you're inspired to sing about a murderer psychopath who likes to sacrifice babies for Satan. I'm not saying Alister Crowley did that, but whatever he did. Okay, just because you're inspired to write songs about that and whatever, I mean, it doesn't mean you're on board with it. But either way, let's continue this.
Let's think rock influence of Alister Crowley. David Bowie, Black Sabbath, Led
Yeah.
Zeppelin, the
Right.
Beatles, Doors, Iron Maiden, Marilyn
Yeah.
Manson. I mean,
Yeah,
that
yeah. Okay.
without saying Rolling Stones, Metallica, Queen.
These are good bands. Queen,
All
awesome.
rock music is,
All rock music.
classic rock music is dedicated to Crowley.
All of it. Okay. Well, if Queen is dedicated to Crowley, I gotta say, then I am a Crowley fan, even though I'm not. I don't like him from what I've heard. Okay. But that makes me a fan by proxy. Is that how this works?
And
Like,
that's not
I'm looking at this. I'm thinking, I don't really care what their influence is. I'm thinking, I like the music, I like the song, and that's where I'm at with it.
that's not a conspiracy. That's not a conspiracy. That is truth.
Okay.
And you can find it in their works. You can find it in the stuff that they have produced.
Radio Gaga.
Ozzy Osbourne, the Black Sabbath. I don't know if it was Ozzy Osbourne by himself or it was within Black Sabbath, but they have a song called Mr. Crowley. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good song, Mr. Crowley. That's a good song.
And I mean, it all connects, right? The science and the spiritual. The
He
stuff.
also has songs like Over the Mountain or Flying High Again. Those are good songs. Okay.
About the alpha waves and the beta waves and how music affects our prefrontal cortex and disrupts our reasoning process and has the ability to actually change who we are, change our discernment,
Man,
our
I've been streaming
reasoning.
for 2 hours, and there's still another hour of this woman. I don't know if I could do that.
Our spirit, because of the way that it disrupts the natural frequency and the bioelectrical currents of our body. Knowing all that, the science and the spiritual, it all connects.
Well,
So-
the science doesn't make any sense
So
that you presented. The stuff about Alister
let me
Crowley
talk
is
about
interesting.
a little more in depth some of these rock influences. I have them saved on my
Okay.
phone. These are just some examples, okay?
All right.
The Beatles, who placed him among dozens of other influential figures on the cover of their concept album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So he's actually on the album cover for that. Graham Bond, keyboard player and leader of the Graham Bond organization, recorded Holy Magic, a thelemic mass, drawn from Crowley's writings.
Oh.
David
Okay. Look.
Bowie, this one kind of broke my heart, but in hindsight, Labyrinth was pretty Gnostic, or pretty occultist. And I loved that movie when I was a kid.
That movie is a good movie. The Labyrinth.
David Bowie, whose song Quicksand featured on his album Hunky Dory, makes the reference, quote, "I'm closer to the golden dawn, immersed in Crowley's uniform of imagery."
See, now, you got to be careful with this stuff. Because sometimes some people will look at that and will use that as, well, as a gimmick, as a way to look cool, like use the imagery and kind of dig from a kind of a cryptic source or a strange esoteric source like Crowley. Because even the name is like there's a reputation around it, right? There's like this like sinister feel about that guy, and well deserved. But if you're gonna start a metal band, you're being a metal band, and you're like you want to go all out with that evil satanic imagery, why not pull from that? Pull from him a bit, some references and things. And when you do that, like, are you actually really meaning it, or is it all just kind of an act? Okay. Now, I think she may have a problem with that, though, too. I don't know. I'm curious what she has to say. I'm not gonna be able to finish this, but I did tag her this, and hopefully she doesn't have a problem. Commenting on it. I'm open to have a conversation with her, and I think it would be a good conversation about this. The science, but the waves, I mean, I'd be like, look, man, we're not neuroscientists here. Unless you have a full-on understanding of that stuff, or you could present studies that show that it's actually conflicting and all this stuff from what you showed so far, just not convincing, especially when you can find with a Google search that it doesn't really work the way you framed it. Let's just talk about the influences in music. Let's talk about that. And I guess satanic imagery and that, all that stuff. And why that's a bad thing. I don't know, but I'm not gonna be able to finish it here. If you want to check out the full video, the full 2 or an hour 36 minutes, I think the link is actually in the description box. It is. Look at that. I put it there, so you can check it out. I'll put the link in the chat too. I'm not gonna be able to finish this. There you go. That would be the link there. And now we'll be able to wrap it up, man. That's so sad. I don't know what she says, if anything changes. Or if she just repeats herself. Dang. I'll never know. Anyway, with that said, this was fun. We talked about Satan in the music industry. Let me wrap this up with this message. Do I believe that Satan is in the music industry? I believe that there are satanic forces in the music industry, meaning that, sure, there are people that you could say are doing Satan's bidding, like lawyers and businessmen that are really are driven by greed, and at this point they probably have the money they need, driven by something else, power, if you will, to do things. And when you make a deal with these record companies, when you make a deal with those individuals, you are making a deal with the devil. You are making a deal with someone who has your life in their hands. They have your future in your hands. I do see that, from watching this, that they draw sources or references from sinister figures like Alister Crowley. That's interesting. Obviously, they do draw from satanic sources, other satanic sources as well, like Satan himself, like the Bible. Okay, As far as like a real devil, now I don't. That's where you kind of lose me. Like, I could see it in a symbolic way. Like, even Alister Crowley, seeing all the messed up things he said, was he actually making a pledge to the devil? I believe he thought he was. Maybe he actually was. I don't know. I don't know about that. Okay, but I think he thought he was. And because of that, he thought he could do these certain things or whatever and engage in these things without any problems or whatever. Whatever it is that he did. But that's where I'm at with this. So, yeah, I guess it's more like symbolism. But the industry is pretty vile. It is pretty disgusting. And with that said, I hope that the bands that we react to that are in that industry are doing okay for themselves. I hope that they don't feel like they sold their soul to the devil. Or maybe they do. Oh, maybe they do feel that way, and we'll never know. But that said, you take it easy and have a good one. Metal doesn't really have the reach of pop music, right? You got to put the devil in pop now. You got to make it poppy.